Alright, so I'm John Peters. I'm one of the game designers on Guild Wars 2, and this is a little bit of a underwater combat demo. I'm playing a Necromancer right now, so I'm going to start off just turn around and fighting on some land, so you can just kind of see how, just to contrast the differences. I'll just fight one creature here. So one thing about the game, you see their skills are tied to your weapons, so you know, underwater a lot of these weapons don't make sense, and what we try to do is figure out, what can we do to make our underwater combat feel different and feel like it still obeys the rules of our game. So what we did is we created different underwater weapons, and what these do is let you design a whole new set of skills that make sense for underwater, taking advantage of the Z-axis, utilizing all the stuff that makes underwater combat more interesting. So that's some land combat. So you can see I'm holding an axe, and if I run into the water, one of the first things you'll see is we have this surface swimming mode, so I can just kind of swim along on the surface, minding my own business. I can pop back onto the land, and when you're ready to go underwater, you kind of just turn, and when you reach a threshold, you just kind of submerge underwater. And you can see right here my skills on my skill bar have changed over. I've got a new weapon. This is a spear that's on my back. I can pull that out, and conveniently I'm being attacked by a drake. So you can see my skills are very different underwater. I have one of the underwater weapons is a spear. That's one of the ones that the Necromancer can use. You can use it to stab this drake. He's got a couple of different skills. One where you can kind of spin around and do a big AoE attack. A big life-stealing buff that I can put on me, and then some different kind of stabs and throws. This is a way I can pull a guy to me and cripple him. I've actually now been attacked by a number of drakes, so I'm gonna concentrate on fighting them for a second here. One thing that's nice about the underwater combat as well is that the creatures are different. So if I pulled these drakes out of the water, they'd be breathing fire at me, but of course you can't breathe fire underwater. So what we do is we create a scenario where underwater the creatures have very different skills. You'll see these drakes doing different swimming around and doing different kinds of attacks than you'd see them doing on land. One of the big drake attacks underwater is a big swooping spin attack that I'm about to trigger from this brood mother. I'm actually fighting a big drake boss right here. So there she goes, she's swimming off, and then she comes back, whips her tail, and you can see she stuns me. I'm low on health, so I'm going to use my healing skill. So I can now switch over to my other weapon set. This is our castery weapon set called the Trident. So under here I've got skills that create a bleeding area. I can steal life from them. I can entomb them and make them sink to the ground, so I cast this spell. So this takes a lot of advantage of our 3D stuff. We have skills that can sink the player as well as bring them back up. So those are called floating and sinking, and they kind of take the place of some of the things we do on land. So you can see the underwater environments are all very different and recognizable as underwater. All these leaves coming down, and actually as the broodmother moves, you can see her moving these tangled vines that are under the water here. This is a Necromancer skill that charges up a bunch of power. Oh, she just stunned me. Charges up a bunch of power and then sucks in and deals a bunch of damage and freezes enemies underwater. So I'm going to sink her again. Now, this is going to take a little while because it's a boss fight. So one of the most important things, which I was going to say first, but I'll get to now that I had some creatures to deal with, is, for us, a lot of games underwater, it's a lot about breathing and breathing monitors, and there's really nothing fun about breathing. It's mostly just a tedious thing that you have to pay attention to. And so what we've done is we've kind of removed that. I'm going to pull up my hero panel. I'll try and escape this broodmother so we don't fight her the whole time. In my hero panel, you can see there's a underwater equipment piece called your aqua breather. It's your underwater breathing apparatus. So I'll pop out of the water for a second to get away from her. Oh, so yeah, see, she came up on land here, and you can see she's breathing fire, and it's like the battle has completely changed. So the underwater breathing apparatus allows you to breathe anytime you're underwater. So you just go under. You don't have to worry about dealing with different attacks. You don't have to worry about what's going on with whether or not you have enough breath to survive underwater. So I can just pop back under. Don't have to worry about my breath at all. So of course, when you're fighting a big creature like this, on land we have what we call the downed state, which is when you run out of life, your character is lying on the ground and can kind of fight to survive and come back. If you kill something, it'll get back. We didn't really think that it made sense to be lying underground on the water, on the ground underwater. So kind of what we did is that when your health hits 0, you go into what we call a drowning state. They knock your breathing apparatus off, and you are slowly losing life as you have a little time to either kill something to come back by having an ally come to you and res you, or as I'm going to show you right now, because they're about to hit my health low enough. What you can do is you can actually, in the underwater, res yourself by, it says swim to the surface. So I can make my way up to the surface, and it may be difficult with creatures hitting me, but yeah, you can see I can swim to the surface, and because I was just drowning, that it lets me to catch my breath up here and, you know, then dive back down and continue fighting. So underwater's a little more forgiving in that way too. Obviously there's a lot of things you have to deal with the Z-axis, but it kind of lets us, you know, allow players to just kind of get down here and enjoy the content that we've built down there. There's a lot of underwater content in the game, especially because of the depth. It takes up a lot of space just because it's a 3D environment, and so there are places where you can literally swim down for 45 seconds, a minute, down into these deep trenches in the water, and there's events going on down there, and vendors, and, you know, whole cities of different races that live under the water. So so the Necromancer has his special Death Shroud ability. He also has this ability underwater, and he can use it to kind of perform as kind of a secondary health bar to make him more durable, as well as just give him access to some different skills. So he kind of gets a lot of the mechanics that the professions have, they share in their underwater counterparts, so that you kind of don't have to relearn the profession. We didn't want it to feel like it was a completely different game, but at the same time we want you to feel like, you know, there's a reason to be underwater and there's something different about it. That was kind of the introduction to underwater. Now we're going to kind of tour around, swim around, and just kind of get a look at, you know, what kind of stuff is under here, and just see the environments and the different creatures. Actually, if you get a close-up of the face, you can see her breathing apparatus with the bubbles coming off, and it's pretty cool. So this is the casting weapon Trident. There are 3 underwater weapons. The other one is a harpoon gun. Necromancers cannot use that weapon, however, so they go between tridents and spears. The utility skills as well, some of them work underwater, some of them do not, and it kind of just depends on what you have. So if I go back up to the land just really quickly, you'll see on land I have these utility skills set up, and I've got a Bone Fiend and Plague Signet. But what we do is underwater, when you dive, we let you kind of set your skill bar differently. So this skill I wanted to keep, but underwater I wanted to use this other utility skill, Blood is Power, if I want to, which, you know, it lets me change this skill, but without conflicting with the choices that I've made on land. So, alright, so I'll just kind of swim around. This is a big giant fish, one of the cooler looking creatures under here. These guys are neutral, so they won't attack you unless you attack them. I particularly love their eyes. So. There's drakes up here that I want to try and avoid, since we've seen a bunch of those. And we'll kind of make our way through this area and just kind of get a tour first before we fight some more stuff. Yeah, so you can see seaweed and stuff moving as stuff swims by it. Then I think I showed that when you do pass underwater, or when you do come out of the water, you get this splash screen effect to kind of show you that you've come out, and then the water fades away and drips off. And similarly, when you go in, there's that first bubbles. So I'm going to cut over this area, and I think there's a little thing I can swim, a little cave I can swim through. Let me look at the map and send us over there. Yeah, it's right through here. So I'm just going to head over here and swim through this cave a little bit so you can see some of that area. And this is the area right outside of Lion's Arch, which is the big central city in the game. So you might be able to catch a glimpse of that as well. go. Oh, try and avoid these guys. Here we go. Alright, so here's some big fish. Other fish. This is kind of different kind. There's a large variety of underwater creatures. In this map, we'll see shark and some fish. These big gulper fish, drakes, crabs. Some of these things are amphibious as well. So these guys called skelk. They live underwater, but they can actually come on the surface too. So let's take a look at one of this. So that's a skill that poisons him, and then I can cast these bleeds on him. The Necromancer's a lot about stacking up different kinds of degen to work on guys. So it's my big tomb spell. It's like the big explosion. You know, a lot of other things work pretty similarly underwater. There's just the looting. Everything else works a lot like it did before. Here's a little bobbing chest that's kind of just floating under there. So I'm gonna make my way through this cave now. This is one of the cooler environments in there. So it's filled with these skelk guys. Let me switch over to my other weapon. So for him, the spear, he uses a little bit like a short-range thrown weapon, just because, you know, necromancers aren't necessarily about hitting people with stuff. So he has he imbues kind of some of his magic into it. So he has a special barbed spear that he can throw and cause bleeding, or this crippling spear that he throws that will pull the guy towards him when he throws it, and then cripple the guy so that he can keep him nearby. So there's that pull, and then they cripple. Nope, looks like I got some barracudas as well. So, you know, sometimes it's easy to forget, because I've been playing our game for a while now, just how great it is to, you know, not be worrying about how much breath I have left. So cutting my way through the depths here. See if I can sneak under these guys. You know, and every creature's got different animals for moving underwater too, so you can see he's really smooth. Here's a group of them coming after me. You know, in the land too, we had the double tap dodging that applies underwater too, so I can double tap backwards and dodge back. So right here, this is one of our friendly underwater NPC races called the Quaggan. This is kind of entrance to one of their towns, so you can see a Quaggan is going to help me fight these guys. So there's a big AoE attack that you can do. So there are dynamic events under here as well as things that you can do to complete for scouts. Just happen to not have bumped into one yet. So this is a Quaggan architecture and kind of heading into one of their little villages. You can kind of see. This will open up into a village, and then I think the big lake that's behind there. So these are their homes, which you can take a peek in there. Oh, that's actually some eggs, I guess. This is a Quaggan home, so you can kind of get in one of their houses, swim around. Oh. So here's a named guy. Let's see if he's gonna. Oh, swam off. There you go.
Oh, so many who.
So he's actually telling me that the Ascalon settlement above here is under attack by centaurs, and I can go up there. That event kind of has popped up because I talked to him. He kind of marked it for me. If I walked over there on my own, I would just discover it, but he kind of helped me by kind of letting players know that there's stuff going on. There's actually NPCs in the world running around talking about these things. So this is kind of underneath this big giant lake. These Quaggan here seem to be worshipping this statue of one of the old gods of Tyria.
At least you'll understand why
So I'm going to try and get to, in the middle of this lake, there's a pirate island where I can kind of fight some pirates underwater, so I'll make my way over there. I can show you kind of some of the attacks of one of these gulper fish a little bit, and they're swimming. So I'll let you kind of. So he's kind of, his special abilities, he's got a big chomp that steals life from you, and then he'll regenerate himself, so you want to kind of try and keep him from doing that. Actually failed already, just because he happened to have used it already, but I'll just fight a little now. Switch over to my casting weapon. You can see, you know, especially here underwater where you really want to be moving, the whole being able to cast on the move is really important. And I think for every underwater skill basically lets you move when you're casting unless it actually sends you flying forward. So I'll show you one of those in a second. Got to deal with these guys first though. So there you go, that'll like send me to these guys. So you kind of dart through the water. So I'm using my underwater death shroud again. There's kind of a bunch of different strikes that he does. There's kind of a wave that shoots out. This is creates a big cloud of blinding area that will keep guys from being able to hit me. So you can see my death shroud is expiring, and when it does, I'll pop back to my normal health bar. And that's kind of the way that the Necromancer is really durable. So. Alright, so I'll show you that darting skill. You can see the icon for it here. It's this current... Oh, hang on, there's a guy right in my face again. Alright, let's get these guys out of here. A lot of it is about taking advantage of your height, so being able to push guys down, push them up is really important to us here. Just trying to get, you know, underwater to feel like a game that I want to play, a place where I want to explore is really important to us. So yeah, so I'm going to head back up onto the land to fight these pirates. Assume I can get away from all the stuff that's chasing me. So you can actually see this bottom of this ship is one of their bases. So you can see pop out, and this is part of the pirate base right here. This is their little homestead. Oh, got that guy still on me. So you can see I'm gonna try and pull him onto the land with me. So these pirates have these big giant turrets that guard their area. So if you come too close, you can see the cannon fires at me. So need to get out of here. So one of the things about swimming on the surface is it's dangerous because you don't have any skills available to you, so kind of encourages you to go underwater if you want to try and heal or anything like that. So here I am up against these pirates. Finish off this area a little bit. Maybe summon some minions. This will probably not go well since I'm fighting 4 pirates. But we'll find out. Oh, they knocked me down into the water there. So yeah, that's our down state on land. You can see if you manage to kill someone from this state, you're able to... Oh, they threw me into the water actually. So you can try and get out of here. But I think I'm not going to make it. So you can see the pirates followed me in, and they're actually attacking me with their underwater attacks. I was defeated. So the nice thing is, in our game, you can just pull up the map and return to a waypoint, you know, nearby. So here's another one. I can actually, this is an underwater one, or I can pull up to this one that's right across from their island. Oh. Yep, so that was our underwater demo for Guild Wars 2. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.